Hi, so welcome to Bluntly Talking. And today we are going to be talking about something that we had said in our last podcast that we were going to be doing this new series. The series name is The Sitcom Effect, How It Affects Society. Hi, ladies. Lasika, Noodles. How are you guys?
Hey, I'm
Hello.
good. How are you guys?
Well, I'm looking forward to this because, like I said, it's something that what, about 2 weeks now, probably? Or
About.
it feels like that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so this whole thing started because we watched the show, Kevin Can of himself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, again, you guys can listen to our last podcast and go watch it. But that's what kind of prompted us to then look at the sitcoms that show was kind of based off, right? And it's sitcoms that were late 90s, early 2000s, the sitcoms that we started looking at. And we picked two for now to kind of like go back and watch them and see what it was about. The first show that we picked was Everybody Loves Raymond, and the second one is The King of Queens. Had you guys ever seen any of these before, before now that we're doing this little series?
No, I've heard of them, and I've heard either people on YouTube, TikTok. I think a few of my wife's coworkers have said like, "Oh yeah, we should watch it." Like they'd say like that we will love it, like we'll find it funny.
Mm-hmm.
And the few episodes I've seen, it's like, don't get me wrong, there are funny parts. It's just I don't think I like it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but you hadn't seen it before?
I haven't seen it before up until now.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them either. I've heard of them and I've seen snippets of them, but I never like it. They just never caught my attention, so I never sat down and watched them. But I know like recently it's been more on like TikTok about how it's kind of breaking some of them down, some of the episodes down. It's like, oh, very cringe.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, see, and me, these were out, these shows, I remember hearing about them because these were shows that were out when I was a teenager and in my early 20s. And I remember also for some reason because I love watching sitcoms. Growing up, that's all I watched. So, but for some reason, Everybody Loves Raymond was never like at the top of my list. I never really watched it. I think I would just catch like that, like maybe if it was on, I would watch like maybe like I would catch like the last part of the show or the first part. I never saw like an entire episode.
Hmm.
But what little that I saw, it just never really vibed with me. And it was kind of the same with the King of Queens, which is kind of weird because the King of Queens, I like the actress, Leah Remini, the one that plays his wife. And I remember when that show was premiering and all the show was going on, and I would always say, "Oh, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it because of her." But same thing with Everyone Loves Raymond. It was the same thing. So this was literally the first time that all three of us sat down and are watching the episodes, right?
Hmm.
Just to make that clear.
Yeah.
And so what we've done is we are watching the first two episodes of each season, and we're going to be breaking down. We want to see if there's any change because both of these shows ran for 9 seasons. So we want to see if if there was character development or what's going on, and we'll be referencing back to the show of Kevin Can Fuck Himself basically as well.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to start off, we are starting off with season one, episode one of Everybody Loves Raymond. This show ran from 1996 to 2005 for 9 seasons.
Which
And
is
then,
crazy.
yes. So the first episode, just a quick synopsis of it. Ray Barone's life seems perfect. He's a successful sports writer, living with his wife Deborah and 3 kids. But trouble comes in paradise in the shape of his interfering mother, sorry, grumpy father, and resentful brother. So in this first episode, this is where I guess they kind of set the tone for the show, for the rest of the show and
Mhm.
the thing. This is where we meet them. Who wants to start? Kind of, what did you, I guess, what did you think of the episode? What, just what are your thoughts on that episode?
When I first saw it, okay, I thought, okay, typical opening, like working hard husband and working hard home wife, and they're more than one child, like it's like I said, it's the oldest daughter with 2 small twin babies.
Mm-hmm.
And I first did kind of like it for the first 10 seconds. And let me tell you my reasons why only for the first 10 seconds. Because when he comes in, like it's kind of a bit of a chaos. Like she's cooking, but also trying to feed the babies and trying to clean a little. And, their daughter, who I believe is like under 6 years old, like she's, being a toddler, a little chaos demon, as we all know,
Yeah.
have been in love and probably currently have. And like her husband comes in, he's saying hello, he sees that she's in need of help, so he tries to help, and I thought, okay, that's nice, that's cool. But then like when she tries to like I immediately starts to say like, hey, like so your parents called, and he's like, oh yeah, how'd that go? And she's like trying to explain to him like how like again like, she's letting him know like she is appreciative of their help, but she does try to tell him like she feels like they're overstepping their boundaries, and then he immediately goes into like defense mode for them, saying like how like like oh like they're my family and they're all weird, our family's weird, quirky, like like just try to make it seem like it's normal. And
Yeah.
her pointing out, I don't know why I said pulling. Her pointing out like how the mother-in-law is being very overly critical, and that she doesn't like that, and how the father-in-law is like, I guess like what I guess she doesn't like is like how he's overindulging the kids, right? And with the brother-in-law,
Yeah.
I have to admit though, his weird quirk was definitely a bit weird, especially when it does show later on, like how, like from what I understand too, I don't get that either. Like the brother-in-law is a police officer, and to me I thought, okay, that's very successful, very respectable. But according to the sister, the wife and the I don't know why I say sister, the wife and her husband, that like you said, he's resentful, and that he acts weird with the kids with their eating habits, which he touches his food to his chin and then eats it, and that somehow he's teaching the kids to do that too, and she doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Which I have to admit,
I forgot about that.
that was a bit weird for me. I did think like, why would you do that? Okay, like that has to be like a weird quirk he learned, and I don't know, it was never addressed. But no, yeah, I thought, okay, like I get it, especially since like from how it's explained from him and her, like he's gone most of the time, he's out,
Hmm.
you know, following the sports, writing about it, perspectives, info that he gets, stuff like that, because he's a reporter for all that. So like she's there alone, taking care of a full house with 3 children and with overbearing in-laws. So the fact
Mhm.
for me is like I didn't like immediately how he's being very dismissive, saying like, oh, like how I'm gone, and that him saying like when they're here it's nice, like how like, oh yeah, they could give you some time off, and she's like, no, if anything they give me more work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I immediately didn't like that. It's how flippant he sounded, and I just like hated that, because to me it's like, okay, yeah, he doesn't see that because he's gone most of the days. She's the one that has to deal with all that.
Hmm.
Like I did not like that.
That was so annoying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. For
This.
me? Oh,
Mhm.
sorry.
I was just gonna make a comment about. I hadn't observed that what you said. Like it's so strange because again, this I feel this show is very much a product of its time. And I'll leave it at that, and then I'll say the rest. Sorry, Noodles, go on.
No, it's all good. Yeah, this the first episode was just giving me a lot of like stepping over boundaries, especially when it came to his wife. I'm sorry, I forgot her name. Um,
Oh, I
but
don't know.
like,
Let me look it up.
but like there
Deborah.
was Deborah. That it was Deborah. Like a lot of the times, it was Raymond's family all ganging up on her, making her to be the bad one, and she was even telling Raymond like, "I need you to have my back. Like, you see the weird things. You and I have discussed it, and yet he's still over here like, well, they're family. Like, you can't say no to family. Like, so that really wasn't. But there was that incident where I think the whole issue this episode was focused on um how Raymond like the his wife needed some time off because like Musica said, she was taking care of the household. She was taking care of three kids. Like it's a lot. And she was saying like he's not really there. She's the one doing everything, so she needed time for herself and asked him specifically to take care of their kids. And he said, "Okay." But then once she leaves, what happens? His parents come in, his brother comes in, and he does the exact thing she told him not to and leaves the kids with the in-laws.
Mm.
Like that's already the boundary that she's put, telling him like she's not comfortable with it. Please don't do it. And he said okay. And then he turns around and does it. Like and then she gets home and of course she's upset. Oh God, like it's just that
Yeah.
episode infuriated me and I'm just like, uh but I agree.
Yes.
Like I think it's something that would have been okay back then. Like it would have just been swept under like, oh, she's just crazy. She's just overreacting again. That's kind of what they do.
Well, see, and this is the sad part about it, right? That's why we've decided to name this series the sitcom effect, how it affects society. Because it's sad to, like I tell you, those are the things that, because you didn't grow up with those kind of shows, and I did. To me, all of that was now I see it, and it is so cringe. It's like, oh, how gross, but still in the back of my mind, somewhere in the back of my brain, there's that conditioning that as we're seeing, this isn't the only show, and I want to also say it's not just we're not gonna just pick on this show, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
we're gonna cover others, but we just happen to start on this one because that is the theme of the 90s and 2000s, and hopefully it can help people understand of how we are right now. Basically, I am proud of my generation, and I'm very proud of the younger ones that came, that had come after Gen X,
Mm-hmm.
because I do think that there has been change. So that's the positive thing about this. But me
Yes.
watching this first episode, the things that just popped out was the no accountability on Ray's part,
Mm-hmm.
which you guys already said about that. Yeah, you know, um, it was very much, I guess Deborah in this, I don't know if she works later on in the shows, but I mean, it doesn't seem, she's a housewife. That's what it seems like. But it's that mentality, right, of you take care of all that, and definitely the overstepping of the boundaries with the in-laws and everything.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that just popped out also was the grandfather is super creepy. I am sorry, like,
Yes.
with smelling the kids' heads and sucking the youth out of them. And then you pointed out something I hadn't caught. But is it when Raymond arrives or Deborah that, no, it's when Raymond arrives, I think. And then they're watching the kids, and the dad has like his pants down.
Yes.
The
Yes,
kids are
because he's
running.
trying to rush them out and he's like, Dad, go buckle your pants. Like, you need to leave.
Yeah. And it's just so
That was very
and
cringe. I
then
couldn't help but think like, oh my god, that is so creepy. Like you're right. It's
yeah.
just
Like,
oh my god.
why?
And then the brother. You're right. You're right because I never understood the why. I mean, how funny, right? Like right now it's like because cops no that's a good job. Like you're respected, normally, I feel. But like Raymond's a sports writer. Like nothing against sports writers, but I would think that the parents would be proud of both of them,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know? But no, they're making this guy out. They're making a joke out of. Clearly, he's depressed. I mean, there's something going on there,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just. I don't know. I just so the first, it didn't. Honestly, I kind of wanted to say like I don't really want to watch anymore, just from the first episode. But all right, so now, but we did. We watched the
We
second
watched it all.
episode. Yes, we watched the second episode of the first season. And in this episode, it says, oh, I'm reading the synopsis, by the way, I just Googled it, so just Google. But anyways, the synopsis for season 1, episode 2 is Deborah is upset that Ray has a problem showing affection for her. Her anger is nothing, however, compared with her reaction when he shares his problem with his interfering parent. What did you think about this, Musika? About this episode?
When I saw this one, okay, same thing too. I started hating it like a little while into it, like almost immediately because it's true. Like okay, first it starts off, we shall say like they're on a dinner couple date with a friend of theirs, like him and his partner, and they're being overly affectionate. Okay, me, I admit, I'm not a very openly affectionate person outside of my home. Mostly because
Mm-hmm.
I admit I do find it a bit awkward. I find it to be a bit, I wouldn't say unsettling, just awkward and maybe slightly rude in general. Like, okay, a quick peck here, a sweet kiss there, I love yous, those are fine. Even hugging and holding hands, that's fine. But not like all like groping each other, like kind of like how that couple was. I do
Right.
think, I don't get it. I do think what Raymond was like, okay, yeah, this is awkward. I agree with him on that. But the fact that the wife's like, oh, we haven't done that since their wedding day might I like she freaking says that and they're like, oh, when's the last time you guys kissed like this? She's like, oh, it's like our wedding day. And Rand's like, no, yeah, like that was very nice. It was very sweet. And then the girl's like, oh, you guys should kiss right now then. Okay, yes, like I don't like the pressure of that, but the fact that like I also kind of agree. She's like, you haven't guys kissed in a coupley or passionate way since your wedding day? It's like, okay, yeah, fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would definitely would have been like, yeah, guys, give a kiss or something. Not a deep kiss or anything, just like show affection. Show that you still love each other. And the wife's like, okay, do it. And the Raymond looks at her and he's like, no, like, well, we don't want to be like them. And he makes a comment about the painting of the Pope behind them. And
Oh
I'm
yeah.
just like, oh my freaking god, really? I just,
Yeah.
and then like, okay, he does question, like when she does question him about it, like, why don't you like say I love you? And then like their daughter, like, being a kid, like she's saying I love you, daddy, and like he's saying, oh, I love you back. And then he looks at the mom, he's like, and like she knows that I love her too, like like as a quick added
Mm-hmm.
thing, because like he kind of looks at her like thinking like, oh yeah, shit, that's what we're talking about.
Right.
And I do like how he did try to like get to the underlying reason of like why. He probably doesn't say it as much because like again like he says like my parents never did. I saw a reason to. And I do
Right.
kind of like how you try to do that. But the minute they try to ask him like why is this so important for him? Why does he need to know this? And he gets all flustered and everything and he's like no, forget it. Like I don't want to talk about it. And then when they come out from the bathroom, they're like, we talked about it and we realized how sorry we are. Like, to me, it's like, okay, that's good. They had a breakthrough. They realized that, just because they don't say it doesn't mean they're not affectionate, but like they do realize that they need to say that every now and then And like they start telling everyone how they love them, and then the mom turns around, she's like, I like again to her other son, she's like, I do love you too. Like I also like think you're doing very well, and like I guess he's like that really did mean a lot to him because he's like, oh, it's like thank you, and like he starts saying, I love you to everyone, and he goes over to Raymond, like I love you too, big bro. And Raymond, because like he's
Yeah.
so awkward about it, he's telling everyone like, screw this, and he kind of makes it sound like it's his wife's fault. And then his wife
Yeah.
gets mad because she's like, what the hell? Like, you went in this roundabout way to figure out how to say I
Yeah.
love you to me by getting your family involved, and now this awkward shit is happening, and it's all somehow my fault?
Yeah.
And then when they
Yeah.
leave, the family is just like, so it was their fault, not ours. We didn't screw up. And they're like, we never talk about this again. We're going back to the way we were. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, really? That small little breakthrough gone now? Poof.
Mhm.
I was just like, oh my god, this family screwed up.
That is too funny.
I mean, come on. Like, it was, like, oh my god, that whole episode was just like, that's kind of sad, because then it does kind of show, like, how, I guess, like, how also, like, how he was brought up. Like, how he didn't see that much affection with his own parents, and that he just thought, like, oh, like, they never got into very big arguments to, like, they felt like they need to separate, so it's fine. Oh, not only
Mhm.
that, but when he finally does say I love you to his wife, she bursts out laughing, which I felt was a little
Yes.
heartbreaking for him, because like he decided, like, I'm gonna try it, I'm gonna conquer it, and then she
Yeah.
goes and does that, and it's like now he's never gonna say it to her. Now he has a
Oh
reason why he
my.
shouldn't say it to her.
Right? Oh my God. Yes. I hated that part. Okay. What about you, Noodles?
Um, well, yeah, I didn't like, he was embarrassed to show affection to his wife, which is insane to think because he was doing it okay with everyone else, but like he couldn't say I love you to his wife. Like why? Well, why was that embarrassing? I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
But and then I agree, like it's nice that he was trying to like, well, why can't I? Like what is it? But then he goes and like his parents say, like he was basically blaming it on them. He's like, well, it's because they didn't show affection to each other.
Mhm.
But then when he brought it up to them, what did they do? They turned around and right away we had a like a I love you moment and with hugging everyone, and they
Yeah.
did it so quick, so fast. Like they did question it in the beginning, but then they were like, "No, you're right. We don't say it enough." And then it got him like to get embarrassed again. But why?
Mhm.
Like I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like he kept blaming it on everyone else besides like taking accountability on himself. Like he was pointing
Right.
the finger at like, "Oh, it's your fault. Oh, wait a minute, they're doing it. Stop it." Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
So for me, I agree with what Musica said at the beginning, how the couple is really affectionate. Like, yes, I agree. Not everyone is comfortable with that much affection because they were like going overboard. So I agree with that. But I think they went from one extreme to the other, right, in the show. Like they
Mhm.
showed the extreme of PDA and then to the like not even saying I love you. Sitcoms normally, it's kind of like it's a running joke how they solve problems in 30 minutes because normally that's a sitcom. Usually it starts off with a problem, but by the end of the show it's normally resolved.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like in this episode there was this moment there that I thought, oh, okay, well, it's gonna redeem itself because the parents were saying I love you, and then to the brother, and I think that was a nice moment.
Mm-hmm.
But then
Mhm.
I feel like they ruined it with the last part because it's like, okay, so then you don't really love them? Okay, like, well, I don't understand what is so wrong with showing your affection, right?
Yeah.
The parents to their sons, and that's what and then exactly the last part, when Deborah laughs at him. It's kind of like, are you fucking kidding? Like, I thought that was a missed moment because I thought, oh, they were gonna hug and kiss and end scene. But no, it went off to and again, and I think it's not to say because, again, maybe because I grew up with this kind of, I guess, forced comedy. I don't know. Like, there's moments where some as I'm watching the shows, I do laugh. Like, I do, like, oh God, yes, like that's funny.
Mhm.
But looking at the entire picture and again, the effects that it's having on society, I mean, again, this is why men go around, with suppressed emotions. Oh, I can't show my emotions, blah, 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 because I think this is the effect that shows like this is having on society,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
you know?
It's one of
Uh,
those, like, you don't need to be overly affectionate, but at least hand holding and being able to say I love you, like, those are like bare minimum.
right.
I don't. That's the part that I didn't understand in this episode.
No, yeah, he made it seem like
Yeah.
it was a chore to even do that.
Yeah,
They all
and it
did.
was, and it was one that no one wanted to do. Like, it didn't make
Yeah.
sense.
And again, like this, I mean, we know, we've talked, we've talked about, not on the podcast or anything, but like love languages, and like now,
Hmm.
we know a little bit better about, okay, and we're trying to communicate better. So I get it. Like, there's people that don't have to say I love you, they show it. But honestly, I haven't even seen it. I haven't even seen I wouldn't buy that they love each other. Like, it's crazy.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So then you guys want to do season 1 of The King of Queens?
Yes.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay. So this next show, The King of Queens, it premiered in 1998 and it ended in 2007. So this one came out 2 years after Everyone Loves Raymond. Okay. And it got canceled, or it finished it, 2 years after as well.
Hmm.
But, there was a good 7 years that they were running together. And then in season one, episode 1 is the pilot. And it says, Doug Heffman feels like the luckiest man in the world when Carrie, his wife, installs a 70-inch television in his basement lair. His excitement is short-lived as he is quickly displaced by the arrival of Carrie's father and sister. Oh, his name is Doug in this show.
Ah.
Yes, because this first episode, I actually kind of liked it. Again, this is my first time ever seeing this, and I liked it. I actually thought, oh, okay. And the only note that I have on here for season one is that the wife is portrayed like a mom figure. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
But then today, because we watched this, when did we watch it? Like about a week and a half ago,
Yeah,
Noodles?
about.
So I really hadn't remembered everything, but because we just watched an episode right now, I remembered. And yeah, so the first episode, the only thing that really stuck for me is that she was just portrayed very, for example, when because she gets him this big old, the big old thick TVs back then, and it's, in his man cave, and his friends go and they're watching the game, and then she's doing the, boys, it's time for dinner, and, go to her house, and like she's, very much mom-like, not really wife, but it's 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 not like a partnership. It seems very one-sided.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
again, for me, again, I was kind of like, yeah, goes with the times, But that was my impression of the first episode. What about you, Musika?
I actually liked it a bit more better than Everybody Loves Raymond. Mostly because I actually felt that this couple was slightly more relatable. And not only that, but I definitely feel like it does sound like they've been married for a while, but it sounds like also like they're in a good phase with each other that like oh, like when he gets home, he can like cool off and like chill for a little bit,
Mhm.
and like just hang out and be himself. And she's like in her own way, she's like, okay, yeah, I could accommodate him for that. But like I guess like there's also been hinted like if she needs her time with him, he's more than willing to comply with that. And I do like that. I do find it a bit funny how like no, yeah, like how you said she cut out to them. She's like, okay, all of you have to go home to your wives, and then how the last one's going out is like, or mothers, and he starts to complain. It's like, is it because you can't drive? And it's just like, okay, that's funny.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like is when her parents call and she's like, "Oh, like we say we go eat dinner with them," and he's like, "I don't want to." Like according to them, like this is like the third
Mm.
time they blow them off, which to me that's like first of all, it's kind of rude. Like
Yeah.
come on, like that's your in-laws. Like okay, yes, like in-laws can be sometimes, a bit too much or bearing and stuff like that. But it's like,
Mhm.
you still want to have a somewhat good relationship with them.
Right.
I didn't like how he convinced her to blow them off again, give him an excuse, and just, like be like, oh, next time we'll go see them.
Right.
Hmm.
And then 10 seconds later, like the sister comes in, she's banging on the door, and he's being very dismissive. He closes it on her, and what they have a little mailbox thing in the bottom, like a little
Yes, the mail
envelope.
slot.
The mail slot, yes. By the way, does those even exist anymore? I've never seen a house with that.
I don't know. I mean, not in the area where we live in, but
Let's say.
maybe where they live. Maybe in New Jersey it is like that, or New York. Where are they? Is it New Jersey, New York?
I think it's New York because they're in Queens.
Oh, that's right, New York. Duh. All right, so maybe in New York it is like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and she's pretty much talking to them that saying that how their mom had just died. And he's like,
It's a stepmom.
oh, the stepmom had just died. Sorry, I confused that. I thought it was the actual mom. But no, yeah, like how the stepmom
I
just,
thought that too at the beginning.
no, yeah,
Go on,
so,
sorry.
sorry, no, sorry. So, like, he's over there talking to her through the mail slot instead of opening the door and bringing her in. And then I remember at some point he
Mm-hmm.
asked her, like, how she's doing. It's like, oh, like, I'm okay, a little bit wet because your sprinklers came on. He's like, no, no, yeah, okay. And then it fades, and I'm like, dude, why the hell didn't you open the door? Like, more than that, why the hell didn't you go and get your wife? And to me, I couldn't help but think, like, oh, I bet you feel like an ass now for not going to that dinner. Like,
Right?
you're over here saying, next time. Now, when is there gonna be a next time?
Yeah.
He missed it.
But, no, yeah, and honestly, to me, it's just like, I immediately started not liking him that much right there anymore. Because he's like, oh, okay, so you're that kind of husband. Got it.
Right.
Yeah.
And isn't it crazy because I actually like that actor. Like I've liked that actor.
Hmm.
But yeah, yeah. Anyways, Noodles.
Yeah, I didn't. That whole episode, it just felt more like she was taking the mom role versus the wife role. And even when you were saying about like how he was complaining about not wanting to see the in-laws, like I'm just over here like when I saw that I was like, what a man-child. You know,
Yes.
like you really are complaining like a kid, and like even when she was calling them up to eat, and what was he doing? He had the remote in his hand, about to turn it off, but he was doing the slow steps, watching the TV, and
Mm.
she's over here yelling at him like now, and he's like, all right, all right, all right,
Mhm.
like the first episode was kind of like it was really funny though. Like I see why they did it because I mean the
Right.
whole episode, like I was laughing, but I
Yeah.
was, but at the same time, I'm like, why is the dynamic like this? And my whole thing was like, is it gonna be like this, like throughout the season?
Mhm.
Because even after like everything that happened, that like the her dad and her sister had to move in, like even then, like he was throwing a tantrum, like, well, why can't you just like let them be, figure it out themselves? And he's like, are
Mhm.
you serious? And then he was finally like, okay, like what my wife says goes, but like later on, this is my house still. Like I need respect in this house. That's when he
Mhm.
became when it kind of like switched up, you
No,
know?
yeah, I did not like that,
Yeah.
especially since when he says like, "Oh, well, she pays the mortgage because she has the higher salary." He's like, "But it's still my
Yeah,
house," and it's just like, no, then it's not your house then, because everything's under her name then.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we have so then it was the second episode of the first season.
Oh my god, that one made me mad.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. So the synopsis for this one, by the way, I forgot to tell you guys the name of the title of the episodes. The first season one, episode one, and for the King of Queens was named Pilot. Season one, episode two is titled Fat City.
Oh my God.
Ugh.
The synopsis is courtesy of an old family photo. Doug gets a glimpse of Carrie's full-figured mother. Fearing that she could be heading the same direction, Doug encourages her to diet. Musica, do you want to do us the honors?
Oh, I have a lot to say about this. First of all, let me say that second episode got me so infuriated. Because,
Mhm.
first of all, like, if anyone wants to see her, like, she is beautiful. She is well
Yes.
fit. She has a nice curve. Like, she's taking care of herself.
Mm-hmm.
He, on the other hand, let's just say he needs a bit more help than anything. Trying to be a little bit
Yeah.
nice here, but it's like, really? You're worried about her?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And again, like we go to like how like after the first episode where the dad accidentally burns down his house trying to prove that he could live on his own, and then forcing the sister and him to move in. Like again, like because apparently he had stashed away all the photo albums in the storage unit, and they're like, going through it and everything. And then he sees like the mom, and he's like, oh, like who's that? And he's like, oh, that's Carrie and the sister's mom. And he's over here looking like, what? Like, no, it's like I've seen pictures of her before. Like she's all like how Carrie looks. Like, no, yeah, like that was before. It's like after a while, like somehow she just gained weight. And like the way the dad explains it, like first of all, I had to say bless the man, because like he does like kind of like he said it was unexpected, but like how he tries to make it sound like it wasn't that big of a deal, because to him it's like it didn't really bother him. He loved her all, even more of it. Like he's like he tried to make her. He's like to him it didn't really change how the mom looked. Like I was still the same person who he loved and the mother to his children.
Mhm.
Which to me, it's like, oh, that's nice.
Mhm.
But like the fact that like Doug is like fixated on the fact that like the mom somehow gained all this weight, and now he's wondering if she's also gaining the weight.
Right.
And at first, he's trying not to be all like up in her face and ask her about it right away. But he is like trying to sabotage her by like not letting her get any more snacks. Like like if she wants to go get seconds or like a drink or something, he's like, "Oh, are you sure? Like you don't, are you sure you really want that or need that?"
Right. He's hinting at it.
Yeah, and not only that, but like he even asks one of his work buddies, who is also his friend, about it, and his friend even tells him,
Mm-hmm.
"No, like don't bring that up to her." He says like, "Oh, me and my wife, like after like I think like what they gave birth to not that long ago."
Right. I
He's
think
like,
so, yeah.
yeah, she's given birth, like she put on a few, and he said like, like just like you and your
I've never
wife,
heard so
we
big.
have no, yeah, it's like we have an open relationship. We talk to each other. It's like I sat her down. I thought I talked to her very calmly. He's like 7 months later, she's still not back home with her and the kid. And he said if anything,
Mhm.
like she put on a few more just to spite him. And he's like, so I'm telling you, man, like don't bring this up. It's not like don't make this into a big deal. And
Yeah.
Doug, being Doug, decided like, you know what? No, like fuck it. I'm gonna ask her. And at first, like when he does like talk to her about it, like she makes it seem like it's no big deal. Like okay, fine. Like we could do this together. I'll be healthy for you. And he's like okay, and she goes up the stairs like I love you. The best for me, right? And she doesn't answer back. He's like, babe, like no,
Yeah.
yeah, like oh my god. And the fact too, like at some point, like even the dad notices like the daughter is dieting.
Mhm.
And he's like, why are you doing this? And she's like, because I'm fat. And it's like, I'm getting fat. And he's like, what? No, like I think he's being a good father right there. Like the fact that he was encouraging his
Yeah.
daughter, like, you don't need that. Like, she's perfect the way she is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In fact, when Doug comes in, he looks at him and is like, you on the other hand, you can use it. And I just couldn't help but laugh at that. I was like, oh my god, yes, perfect fatherly protection right there. You gotta love the man.
Yes.
Yeah.
And no, yeah, and then when Doug tries to say he's sorry to her and tries to prove a point that He's just as big, if not bigger, than how the mom was. And he puts on one of her old dresses, and it fits him. And then the girl starts crying about that even further. And he's like, actually, I think it needs to be taken in a little bit. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, dude, you're not
Right.
helping.
Right.
Like, honestly, he just made it so much more worse.
Uh,
And it was just pissing me off.
Hmm.
yes. Agreed. What about you, Noodles?
Yeah, I'm just the whole episode was just terrible. Like people put on weight. That's it. And he of all people is the last person that should have said anything to her. Because you're right, you see her and she's pencil thin. She's gorgeous. Like she doesn't need to lose any weight. But he's over here putting it in her head that she has gained weight to the point where she does do the diet and is even like very strict about it and is very open about it, like to the point where he's even begging her to stop. But she's like, nope, nope, like you said it, and
Hmm.
now it's in her head. And then he takes it up with the friend. His friend gives him the advice to not say anything because he knows from experience that it's a big deal when you bring up someone's weight. Like it is. Like it's very like
Yeah.
ugh, it's very personal to bring up. So
Mm-hmm.
with all of that, he still goes and tells her and talks to her, and then she finds out a little bit later, oh, it's because he saw a photo of her mom.
Hmm.
Like how insulting. Like it's just like it was so rude. It wasn't coming from a place of love. It was coming from a place of his own concern. And she
Hmm.
knew that. And she made it clear that she knew that. And yes, it ended with like a good note where like he tells her like that he doesn't care and that he loves her and all of that lovey-dovey stuff.
Hmm.
But this was like a hard watch, at least for me.
Yeah, so there's, I guess, we somehow skipped over this one, and this is the episode we actually watched right before we did this,
Hmm.
the podcast. And so I hadn't seen this episode until today. So far, I was like liking this show more than everyone was Raymond until I saw this episode. So it's so crazy to me, right? How this even got written. But again, I can't. It's like I hate making up the excuse of like, well, it's a product of its times.
Hmm.
But it's so ugly and so gross. Like, how did this even get written? And then I wonder, how did the actress, how did Leah Remini feel doing this? Because Leah Remini is one of the most beautiful women out there. And she's not even a little overweight. Like, she's beautiful.
Hmm.
But that just gives you an idea of what Hollywood thought overweight looked like, you know?
Yeah.
The other thing is that this wasn't even done. Like, I think in the later years, I think in the 2000s, and probably to now, when the conversation of weight loss or, losing weight is usually now around health issues, right? In
Mm-hmm.
this episode, that was never even brought up. It was purely because Doug decided that, ew, my wife can look like her mom, fat. And then also, they never really showed us a picture of the mom because
Hmm.
now we know, right, that there's all kinds of sizes and types of bodies. So
Hmm.
somebody could be overweight or be fat according to them, but still have curves, still, like, what I mean? There's different body types, but they never showed us a
Definitely.
picture. We only kind of got an idea when at the end he pulls out the dress and tries it on, and then it's like, oh, it's still loose on me. Like, come on. But we never really saw a picture. This woman was solely judged by she's fat. That's it. That's all we. But okay, so that is what got to me. The fact that the health reasons, health issues never came up. And
Hmm.
then when the friend tells Doug, like, or I think Doug is, yeah, the friend tells Doug something like, well, look at you, man, or something like that, right? His excuse is like, oh, well, I've plateaued. Like, I'm not gonna get bigger than this. That's his claim. But it's
Hmm.
like, to me, it's, oh, this is how they see themselves. That's why it's okay. The message here in this episode for me, it's like the guys can look like shit, but their wives have to be freaking supermodels.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I feel like that's literally how it was in Kevin Can Fuck Himself. You know, the guy can look like shit, be shit, but the wives better not be. That's the
Mhm.
message. Like, really? And
Yeah.
then the other thing that I thought was horrible about this whole thing was that then he gaslights her, right? Because then he's like, you need to kind of lose weight, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then because now it's affecting him,
Mhm.
now it's affecting him. Now he's like, oh, no, no, but you really don't need it. Like, now he's trying to, like, he doesn't know how to stop it, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to backtrack, but he can't.
Right. But again, it's all because if it wouldn't have hurt, if she wouldn't have changed, if she would have, as many women do, okay, many women will not do that extreme. Again, this is only like a 30-minute show, right? So it has to kind of be resolved at the end.
Mhm.
But a lot of women would, and which they did. They were becoming anorexic. They were going on crash diets. I there's a lot of stories throughout the years that I saw of women dying because of getting injections to lose weight. I mean, it's still going
Mhm.
on to this day. So a lot of women they would keep it. Like all the shit that he said, like honestly to me, like I just felt so sorry for her because normally and again, think of the show Kevin Can Fuck Himself. You
Yeah.
know, that's really how it is. The way they were showing her, like while they're in front of the husband, you know, everything's fine, but behind the scenes,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, and it blows my mind that this was the freaking second episode of the first season, and this show still went on for 9 more seasons.
Yeah, for real.
Uh-huh.
That's what's crazy about it. uh, so it was just horrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it was like one of those seasons that was like starting now. Yeah, I
Hmm.
don't think that second episode would have gone far, or at least I would hope. Like as of today, it wouldn't fly.
I think it would
Right.
have. They would have been super pissed.
And this is why I would like to look at this from different angles, right? I think we're starting off with this. I know that the last time you mentioned Musika about the show I Love Lucy, and I said, well, no, but I Love Lucy was, you know, in the 50s, like it was at the beginning of sitcom. But I think it would be interesting to go back and see those shows. I think will really make us mad. And then I also want to look at the sitcoms now because I haven't really, like, I'm trying to think of sitcoms that I've seen lately, and I can't think of. I think one of the ones that I watch is The Connor, and we also talked about that because these are the shows, right? But it wasn't always like this
Mm-hmm.
because then there was other shows, so I would like to explore all of that. But again,
Definitely.
this is just 4 episodes, you know, that we're talking about here, and it already has given us so much. An insight of, I'm hoping that it's going to change as the season goes on, but I don't know.
I'm not gonna have high hope for. I'm not gonna have high hopes for that. I'm sorry.
Also, another thing, I feel like these first episodes establish that what the shows are going to be about, which is it's all about the husband and everything evolves around them and only them. The wives are definitely the punching bag, and that's how these types of shows were relying on their laughs. That's where they would get their laughs from.
Yeah.
No, yeah, not only that, but like, no, yes, both the husbands are definitely similar in that perspective, but they're also showing two very different dynamics. Like one, like with
Yes,
Everyone Loves Raymond, like they have kids, and the King of Queens, like they don't. In fact,
right.
in the
Just him and his
first
wife.
in the first episode when she says, "I have a surprise for you," and he's like, "Oh, you're pregnant, yay!" She's like, "No, I'm not." It's like, "Oh, thank God," like, because I was like, he immediately switched up
Right.
on that, like, "Oh God, no." And not only
Mm-hmm.
that, like, everyone loves Raymond. Like from what I've seen, he's a bit, I don't want to say a mama's boy, but definitely more of the whole like,
No, he is a mama's boy.
He was
A
the
hundred
favorite.
percent.
oh yeah,
You
okay,
could tell right away. Like that's why his brother is the way he is, because like Raymond was the favorite.
mm,
Yeah.
no yeah, like he's, no yeah, definitely the golden child then, like golden child syndrome for sure.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Doug, he's just a man child. Like every time things don't go his way,
Yeah.
he throws a tantrum.
But I think that the reason for that is because in The King of Queens, I think they were trying to portray like a younger couple,
Mhm.
whereas in Everyone Knows Raymond, like they're more established. That's how I took it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's kind of like the same message, only packaged differently.
Mhm.
Definitely.
And so I guess the question that I would like for us to answer as we're watching this is what effect do these types of shows have on society? Just for these, again, 2 episodes that we saw from the first season of Everyone Loves Raymond and the first 2 episodes we saw of The King of Queens. For me, I feel like it's setting, and it did set unrealistic expectations on real life because us as the audience, and keep in mind that back in that's all really people saw. I think this is why these shows lasted for so many seasons. A lot of the sitcoms back then
Yeah.
did because we didn't have the variety that we have now. We weren't that lucky, so it really was shaping society,
Yeah.
you
I
know.
No yeah, honestly, I,
Ugh.
to me what it gave off was the whole like, oh, like the husband can, because like he's working hard and everything. Like he could come home and suck off immediately, but regardless whether or not they have a family and kids waiting for them. And also that too,
Right.
like the wife, compared to Raymond's and Doug's, like okay, yes, Doug's like you said, like she's a lawyer, a paralegal or something.
I think she's a paralegal. I don't know because they haven't said, but I think she works like in a law office.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
like she's
So they're
like you
both
said.
working.
No, yeah, like you said, like how he said, like she's paying the mortgage. She's the one that has the higher salary, but yet he still demands respect in
Yeah,
their house because because I'm the man.
right.
Yeah.
Again, where it's okay for the men to be that way, but the women have to set these high, the women are like this high expectation. And yes, okay, it's fiction, but again, when these shows, movies, like they do shape society and impressionable minds
Yep.
grew up watching this and then they, emulate in real life. So anyways, ladies, I'm sort of looking forward for the rest because I feel like it's actually it's blowing my mind because I guess it's something that I had never really thought about it, but now so I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
No, yeah, I am too. Like, even though the episodes are like making my blood boil, like it's very interesting to see how it was done back then, and then thinking about the way it is and how it shows in Kevin Can Go Fuck Himself. Like, yeah, like I could see where you wouldn't see it before, in some episodes at least.
Right. Again, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. This is the part one of the Sitcom Effect series that we have prepared for you. And I hope you guys stick around. If you like this, give us a like, subscribe, and just look us up on social media, Bluntly Talking Podcast. But I'm Mita, and I'm here with Musica and Noodles. Thank you, ladies.
Yeah, thank you for having us here. Like always, it's a pleasure.
And this is Bluntly Talking. So stay tuned for part two. Bye.
See you
Bye.
laters.